What's happening, Who Dat Nation? Hope you guys are having a wonderful Wednesday afternoon. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's program. My name is Girouard, and as always, I greatly appreciate you for taking a few minutes out of your day to catch up with what's going on around the black and gold. But really quick, I got to show you guys some pretty cool numbers here. Our goal this month is 10,000 likes across the channel. Right now, we are over halfway to that mark, and we're not even halfway through August. So let's keep that train moving. If you're excited for New Orleans Saints football, hit that thumbs up icon, like today's video, and let's see if we can get to 7,000 likes. Don't even need 500. I got my faith in the Who Dat Nation. All right, so here's the players at practice who did not participate today on August 14th. A.T. Perry, Millard Bradford, Alvin Kamara, Isaiah Stalbird, Nick Saldiveri, and Trajan Jeffcoat were all players who were not active and did not have any sort of participation at practice today. But these were the players who worked off to the side. Ugo Amadi, Marshawn Lattimore, Kendre Miller, who I want to talk about in just a few minutes. But I also want to say this around Kendre Miller. He has to find a way to get onto the field and start practicing early. Alvin Kamara did leave practice with back tightness today, so that is worth noting. Juwan Johnson, Mason Tipton, both some positive developments around those two guys. We want to see them get back on the field. And Demario Davis, he did do individual drills. However, he was not active during the team stuff, so that's why we listed him on the worked on the side. And one notable injury as well, Jaylan Ford, the rookie linebacker out of Texas, he left practice early too. So we did get positive injury updates around these two wide receivers, Rashid, the speedster, Shaheed. I butchered that. Rashid, the need for speed, Shaheed. I've been calling him that for so long, and I couldn't do it when it mattered. He was a full participant today, and actually there's a pretty cool picture that the Saints Twitter account themselves put out there. And him and Drew Brees met back when Sheed was in 5th grade, and Drew Brees was out at practice today, so it was kind of cool to see that whole full circle moment. But rookie wide receiver out of Pitt, Bub Means, he was a full participant today. He was wearing a red no-contact jersey. However, he participated, which is really, really good news around the rookie wide receiver. I want to see him play. I think that he could be a good player for the New Orleans Saints. However, if he cannot stay on the field and if he stays injured and stays unhealthy, then that could be a very realistic player who may not make the 53-man roster. Now, coming up here in just a second, we got more news from New Orleans Saints training camp. I'm going to tell you guys about the quarterbacks. I want to tell you guys about Alontae Taylor and a little bit more. And plus, we got the latest on Justin Simmons, but today's show would not be made possible if it weren't for our friends over at PrizePicks. And PrizePicks is my favorite daily fantasy sports app, and it's America's #1 DFS app with over 5 million active members. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. And if you use our code CLNS when you download the PrizePick app, you will get a first deposit match up to $100. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. And so sign up today with $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. You know what else I think is guaranteed? My season prize pick selections. Now, I have Derek Carr going more than 3,424.5 yards. I think that he could be a lot better with Clint Kubiak's offense and Chris Olave. I saw these numbers, and I thought that was absolutely disrespectful, so I'm hammering the more for Chris Olave's receiving yards through the season. And Kirk Cousins, he is now the quarterback for those scumbag Atlanta Falcons, and I refuse to project the Falcons to do anything right, so I'm taking the less on Kirko chains. But if you want to fade my picks, if you want to tail my picks, I don't really care. Just do it with PrizePicks. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get a first deposit match up to $100. One more time, that's code CLNS. And use that code on PrizePicks for a deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks, run your game. All that information is in the comments and description of today's video. So the reports from training camp around Alontae Taylor, they continue to be extremely positive. And I will say this, I think that he is having a phenomenal offseason. I think that he's a player that when you think about, or when you go back in time and you think about what he did last year and the growth that he showed, you should be excited about number one. I think Alontae Taylor is going to take massive strides in the slot cornerback position. I do believe in him as a cornerback. I think he's a phenomenal player, and I really, really like the attitude. I like the mindset. I like the swagger and the confidence he has on the field. Like, those are really, really important things for me personally, and I'm excited to see more from Alontae Taylor. So hopefully at the preseason we get to see a little bit from him. But again, I don't want him to get too much run, get possibly injured, and maybe burned out. But I do think that this is a player that you should be keeping your eyes on, and I think that this is a really positive development at Saints training camp. Now, let's talk about Kendre Miller and some of these injuries to some of these young guys, because I think that this tweet from Catherine Terrell is extremely telling about what Dennis Allen's mindset is on the roster. He's not giving any excuses to any of the young players. He's not calling out just Kendre Miller, but if you guys remember, just a couple of weeks ago, he called out Kendre Miller saying it's hard to get a read on him because you're not going to make the club from the tub. If he's not out on the field, it's going to be tough to put him on the roster. It's going to be tough to give him real opportunities to make an impact on the game. That hasn't changed. That idea and that thought hasn't changed whatsoever around Kendre Miller, so I think that it's extremely important, and especially for guys like a Spencer Rattler, like a Jake Haener, who have been dealing with not massive injuries, but an injury or a health issue. I'm not saying that they're going to get cut, but it is important for them to be out on the field and for any of these players to be out on the field that are in a position battle. And here's what I have to say about Kendre Miller. There is no question about it. He has talent. He has the skills. He has the rushing ability. He has the contact balance. He has the vision. He has the toughness, at least when in terms of getting tackled, to be a good football player and to be a good football player for quite a while. But when it comes to him, we're seeing a very large uptick in Jordan Mims' usage in the preseason. We've been seeing him playing well and doing well at practices. Now, James Robinson, this was a player who just a few seasons ago was an 1,000-yard rusher in his rookie campaign with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So could one of those two players sneak onto the roster and dethrone Kendre Miller? That's an honest question that we have to ask, and it's an honest question that Dennis Allen needs to think about. Would one of those two players have a better and more of an impact than Kendre Miller? Because I think that when it comes down to it, you got to go with the running back three that's going to give you the most in terms of their usage and in terms of their availability. So really quick reminder, subscribe for our 49ers versus Saints watch party. We had over 40,000 people tune in to our preseason week 1 watch party against the Arizona Cardinals. So I want you guys to show up and show out once again. We're going to be having a lot of fun. Going to be putting stickers all over our Saints helmet. Going to be taking shots, throwing down some drinks, having a good old time, and talking about the New Orleans Saints and the San Francisco 49ers game the entire length of the ball game. We will be live an hour before kickoff. Kickoff is at 7 p.m. Central Time. We're live 6 p.m. Central Time. So join our pregame show, join for some fun, and let's have a good old-fashioned Who Dat game day, baby. So update around Justin Simmons. Aaron Wilson, he reported this last night at 7 p.m. Justin Simmons completed his visit with the Falcons. That's the update. He completed the visit. I wish I could sit here and tell you that he left and that the Falcons are not interested in signing. I wish that I could report to you that the Saints are the leading offer and that they are the leader for Justin Simmons. But when it comes down to it, the update is that Justin Simmons had a 2-day visit. It was always planned to be a 2-day visit. And now that 2-day visit is gone and it's done. So there you go. But here are 4 teams that I want you to keep an eye out for in terms of who Justin Simmons could sign with. I think the New Orleans Saints They make the most sense, Atlanta, I think, could be a compelling argument as well. The Colts and the Texans are 2 teams that I don't know how much true buzz there is. He hasn't visited with either of those 2 teams, but I've seen Bleacher Report link Justin Simmons to these teams. I've seen fans, I've seen just social media buzz, if you will, around these 2 teams and being interested and being a good fit for Justin Simmons. But pretty risky, and I'm not going to sit here and say, just use this guy's word as the gospel. It should not be taken as the gospel. but he is kind of like maybe right sometimes. I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I don't have much of an opinion on Ricky's coverage. This whole Brandon Ayuk situation may or may not kind of legitimize what he actually knows and stuff. But I will say this. When this report came out this morning, again, I can't really call it a report, but when this post and this rumor dropped, he's saying that Benjamin Albright said that Justin Simmons will be signing with an AFC South team. They have a whole beef going on between him and Albright, so I don't really want to speak into that too much. But that's what he's talking about. That one of those two, an AFC South team could sign Justin Simmons. That's what the report was. Ricky can confirm this is false. So you know what team is not in the AFC South? The New Orleans Saints. You know what team is not in the AFC South? The Atlanta Falcons. You know what two teams Justin Simmons has visited with? The New Orleans Saints, the Atlanta Falcons. And I know that I have an extra I under Justin Simmons' name, but it's because I want to sign Justin Simmons. Time is running out for him to make a decision. We are quickly going to be at NFL Week 1 before you know it. And there's not a lot of time for him to make a decision as to where he's going to go and play. Eventually, teams are going to be like, look, we're not going to pay you. We are good with what we got. Take the offer or leave it. So I'm not going to sit here and say that Justin Simmons needs to make a decision soon. He realistically could take as much time as he wanted, but feels like one should be coming in pretty quickly. Now, here's some context and an update around the Saints. Yesterday at practice, this was reported. Dennis Allen says no one has taken the bull by the horns when it comes to the starter next to Tyrann Mathieu. It's coming from the head honcho. It's coming from the head coach. Erin Summers, she covers the New Orleans Saints for the New Orleans Saints. So when she's putting this out there, I'm going to believe it. I'm going to sit here and say that right here is a very telling statement. And what it sounds like to me is that this door is still open for the Saints to sign Justin Simmons. To me, if Dennis Allen was set on Jordan Howden or Johnathan Abram, he would have said that. He would have said, no, we really like Howden. We're excited for what he has in year 2, and this is who we're going to roll out. If he liked Abram, he said, we're excited for Abram. He ended the season last year pretty hot, and at the end of the day, we think he can do some really, really good things for our team. Those were not what was said. To me, it still sounds like the door is open, at least in Dennis Allen's eyes. So, if I'm Justin Simmons, I still think that the New Orleans Saints make the most sense. If I'm Justin Simmons, I think that the New Orleans Saints makes the most sense because of how many connections he has to the team. He's played with the defensive backs coach Marcus Robertson before. He's played with defensive coordinator Joe Woods before. These were two coaches who worked with him in Denver early in his career. And I do think that Justin Simmons has a quality relationship with Tyrann Mathieu. He is friends and golf buddies with Will Harris. There is something to say about that. And there's also something to say about Justin Simmons wanting to visit the New Orleans Saints. The Saints being his first visit that was documented and that was reported. And then the fact that, again, the Saints didn't reach out to him, but he reached out to New Orleans. So I think that all that is extremely telling. I don't know where he's going to sign at this point. I still think New Orleans makes the most sense, but I'm also not Justin Simmons. So I want you to get down in the comment section. Who do you think will sign the top free agent still available? Do you think it's the Saints? Do you think it's the Falcons, Colts, the Texans? Who could it be? Let me know down in the comment section, and y'all stay golden. We'll see you next time.